Good morning and welcome to Starwind Software's Storage Virtualization and iSCSI SAN software presentation. Today we'll be looking at how to cluster SQL Server over iSCSI and some best practices that you can use when using iSCSI to really make sure that you get the most for your money when you're developing these solutions. A little about myself real quickly. My name is Danny Cherry. I'm a senior database administrator and architect for a company called Awareness Technologies here in Southern California. I'm a Microsoft MVP as well as a Quest Software MVP, and I hold a large number of Microsoft certifications on top of that. So let's go ahead and delve into the presentation. So the first thing you're going to want to look at when you're developing an iSCSI solution is your network configuration. This is, since iSCSI is going to be running over your standard Ethernet network, this is where you're going to get a lot of bang for the buck as far as spending some time configuring and getting the right environment right from the beginning. So the first thing you're going to want to make sure you have is a gigabit network. In the home environments, you may not be seeing this as far as building a lab at home or something. Hopefully your production work environment is already gigabit or possibly even 10 gigabit. That's come out on quite a few systems now where 10 gigabit is kind of the new standard. One setting you're definitely going to want to enable is jumbo frames. What this does, it's a network configuration setting, so you have to set it on your network switch and on your server and on your storage. So what the setting does is it allows TCP/IP to put a lot more data per packet, which will greatly increase the amount of throughput you can get on your Ethernet network. Now, setting this won't increase your internet bandwidth by any means because the internet runs at a standard non-jumbo frame setting. But if you enable this within your LAN on your specific iSCSI host, you'll get a lot more throughput on those hosts. Next thing you're going to want to look at is going to be actually segmenting off pieces of your network. This will help reduce your network overhead and reduce contention on your Ethernet network. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can either do segmentation physically, whereas you go out and you buy additional network switches and you put your iSCSI traffic on those physical network switches so that they're totally isolated, or so that traffic is totally isolated from the rest of your Ethernet network. Or if you've got fairly decent Ethernet switches in your environment already, you can do what's called VLANing, which is where you basically carve up a single network switch so that certain ports can only talk to other ports directly. So this way you can't get any sort of crosstalk between the switches. There's no right answer when it comes to choosing which of these techniques you're going to want to use. Some implementations, VLANing is going to be your better option. Some physical network switch segmentation is going to be your better option. It all is going to depend on your environment itself. If you've got an extremely high load Ethernet network already and your backplane on your switches is already near or at capacity, then adding an iSCSI workload into that environment is probably not the best idea. And at that point you're going to want to actually go out and buy some additional network switches and offload the iSCSI traffic onto that new network as opposed to putting it onto your existing Ethernet network. That will obviously drive up the cost of your implementation, but you'll get a much more satisfactory result at the end of the project. Now, redundant network links also very, very important. These give you a couple of things. One, they give you additional bandwidth between the host or the server and the switch, or the switch and the iSCSI target, which would be a storage array or a machine running Starwind iSCSI target. So you get the additional bandwidth of having multiple NICs, but you also get some redundancy in there as well, so that if one of those NICs fails, or if a cable gets unplugged or gets cut or something happens, then you still have access to your host or to your target through the Ethernet network. You're not just losing all your storage connectivity, which is obviously, when it comes to SQL Server, a very, very bad thing to have happen, because